Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Play Some Video Games, the only gaming podcast to require you to get a fancy squid-shaped adapter to enable the voice chat and to listen to us and to watch us and stream it all at the same time. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you clearly haven't been online the last 2 days. But anyway, we thank you for tuning in each and every week and spending just a little bit of time with us. Tonight, we continue our road to E3 with our last stop on the way there before we hit Southern California, where actually my co-host tonight is. But tonight we're going to talk about third parties, and with me to talk about third parties is none other than Devin. Sir, how are we?
I am doing great out here in hot sunny California. The sun is still shining, which I know weirds a lot of you East Coasters out.
Yeah, for those of you, if you're watching live, it's 11 o'clock and we're just starting, but Dev probably just finished dinner like 10 minutes ago. So
pretty much, yeah. Yeah,
it's a little weird. So we're starting a little bit later, so bear with us if we get a little bit silly tonight. But it's okay. It's just the two of us. We had some last-minute changes. So there were supposed to be 4. Then there were 3. Then there were 2. That's all right. We got the East Coast, West Coast connection tonight, so we're good to go.
Yep.
So,
West.
So we're going to keep things in the same format we've had for the last couple episodes, but we did Nintendo, we did Microsoft, we did Sony, so now it's time to talk about all the rest. And by all the rest, we mean the big 3 that are also doing press conferences before or during E3. We're going to be talking about EA tonight, Bethesda, and Ubisoft in particular. Maybe we'll throw some other things in, as well as answer a few questions we got sent in to us prior to recording tonight. So let's jump right in. So the first press conference we'll talk about, and ironically enough, it's technically the first press conference of quote-unquote E3, even though it happens beforehand, happens on Saturday, June 10th, and it is EA. And it's on 3 p.m. Eastern time if you want to watch it live. And for you weird people in the West Coast, that's noontime.
It'll be great.
It'll be 3 p.m. That's a good one. It's a weird time of day, but hey, it's a Saturday, so it's all right. We can make it happen. Scheduled to be about 90 minutes long. So before we jump into our predictions, let's talk about what we know is going to be shown. We know they're going to focus on their sports lineup, so we're going to see Madden, we're going to see FIFA, we're going to see NBA Live, the big ones. They might slip in some of the other ones they do, but normally they just kind of have them in like the video roll. They don't actually talk about them a lot, but we know those 3 will definitely be represented. We know we're going to see we should see some of the EA Sports titles on the Switch. Yeah. And kind of talking a little bit more about that, whether or not it's going to be the same type of game or it's going to, in fact, be something just a little bit different and maybe not releasing at the same time. We're not quite sure yet. We know we're going to see some Star Wars stuff. Battlefield 2 probably be front and center. I think be the focus of EA in this one. They have the exclusive rights to the franchise right now, and the license rather. So they're going to be talking a lot of Star Wars. We're going to see Battlefront. We're going to see the other one that's being worked on, and possibly even some more surprises down there, but we'll save any predictions for after. We know we're going to see, most likely, BioWare's new IP that's been rumored.
Mm-hmm.
They recently delayed it now to March 2018, so I'm betting we're just going to see some sort of video announcement or something like that. Nothing hard, nothing concrete, but something to keep people talking about it. We know we're going to see some more for Need for Speed. So they did announce today. They kind of unveiled it today with a little bit of a trailer and some news. But I know I didn't get a chance to watch it, but Devin did. So why don't you take it away and talk a little bit about what we know so far with Need for Speed?
Yeah, so what we've seen so far, it looks like, honestly, to me, Fast and Furious, the game. The trailer was pretty cool. I mean, we've been down this road before where they take Need for Speed and try to add a story to it, but this one actually looks like it'll be a little bit more cohesive. It takes place in Las Vegas. They're trying to settle the score. They were a team, and somebody went rogue, and now they're all trying to get back at this guy and settle the score. It's supposed to be a lot of customization as far as the cars are concerned to give you more of that Need for Speed Underground feel, and also like the cop chase and everything like that. So it looks to be shaping up pretty good to be a fun Need for Speed, because for me, what Need for Speed always has been is exotic cars, pretty locales, and running from the cops. Yeah. So as long as they can throw all of that together in a nice little package, I'm happy.
I think it's cool, too, because it's a different break from the racing, quote-unquote, sims we've been getting. Like your Forza, your Gran Turismo, stuff like that. It's a little bit I don't want to say less meat on the bone, but it's a different type of beast there. So it's not focusing on just being accurate. It's going to let you have that arcade action going on there too. So it'll be interesting to see, like you said, story modes. Always kind of been a bit of a miss there on their part with Need for Speed, I think personally, but who knows? You do it enough times, you're bound to hit gold at least once or twice. So
yeah, I mean, it's one of their cornerstone franchises, so I'm glad to see they're not just giving up on it. And I mean, Need for Speed definitely has a special place in my heart, so I would love to see this come back and do really well and get me back into that, because the Need for Speed Undergrounds and the Hot Pursuits were like some of my favorite racing games of all time.
Yeah. I agree, and you're right. It is good. It may not sell what Forza does. It may not sell what Gran Turismo does, but it has its market. It's maybe just not be the same players, but people will definitely play it still, so there's nothing to worry about there. Nothing we kind of know will be announced because they've talked about it already. They just kind of let it go away a little bit, haven't mentioned it much. We know we're probably going to see some more Battlefield 1 DLC. Actually, we know we're going to see it in the name of the Czar. They talked about it before. It's probably the best place for them to start showing more. And then not sure what's going to happen here, because they did move this team that was working on Mass Effect Andromeda off of Andromeda, but they're supposed to announce the DLC pack too. So is that still going to be talked about? Not sure, but I think it's probably still likely we'll hear at least something about it, if not the actual unveiling for it. And then the last thing, which isn't really a rumor, I think it's kind of been almost pseudo confirmed at this point. We're going to see Dragon Age come back. That'll be announced, probably short trailer. I wouldn't expect to see anything come out this year for that. I think this is going to be a 2018 one, but at least get people excited that it's coming back, especially with them trying to go toe-to-toe with Bethesda and Elder Scrolls, that kind of rivalry there between Dragon Age and Elder Scrolls. We know it's going to continue, so it'd be a great time for them to unveil it there. So I'll pose the question to you first, then, Dev. So EA overall, you excited for it? What highlights are you looking forward to see? Not any predictions yet, so just what we talked about already. What are you excited to see more of? And are you excited for EA at all, or is it kind of just like, I'll read the headlines later?
I'm excited for EA. As a matter of fact, I'll be there at EA Play on Saturday. So right after the press conference is over, I'll be there. I think it's the 4 to 8 slot or whatnot that's open. So I'll be there, and I'm looking forward to Battlefront 2, of course, because I'm a Star Wars nerd. Also looking forward to Need for Speed, just because, like I said, that game holds a special place in my heart. So I'm looking forward to that. And just I want to see any other services that they may add on to Battlefront. Want to see if they add anything else to Battlefield 1, like if they're going to come up with any more DLC there, and just what else they have lined up. I mean, Madden actually on the Frostbite engine this year is supposed to look really, really nice. So I'm kind of interested to see that, just because I do love my sports. I also want to see what they do at NBA Live. So overall, like, EA is one of the brands that I'm actually hyped to see, and I'm really looking forward to being able to get some hands-on time with some of the stuff that they're going to show off. So really, really excited for this one, mainly because of Battlefront. Because I mean, come on, Star Wars.
Yeah, I agree. I was not excited about the last Battlefront. To be honest, I only played like the free weekends and the demos of it, because the lack of single player kind of right off the bat killed it for me. Because I remember playing the old school ones on PS2, and I loved playing it. Like, it didn't bother me. So the fact that they're like, hey, focus on multiplayer, for me it was a miss. I'm all in this time. I will definitely enjoy it. Star Wars I think is probably the biggest stuff I'm looking forward to. EA, Battlefront, the project that Visceral Games and Amy Hennig's working on.
Buddy.
And then even that the Respawn Star Wars project that they announced, but we don't even know what type of game it is, whether it's going to be something like Rogue Squadron, where it's going to be a flying game, or it's going to be like a Knights of the Old Republic type game. We have no clue here, so it's going to be cool. I think we'll see a lot of Star Wars things down the pipeline, so I'm excited about that. I do want to see how EA is going to manage the sports games on the Switch, what it's going to look like. We've had internal chats about this a few times.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see not only what the plans are, but if they actually spend any stage time on that, or are they just going to ignore it and not mention it at all and save it for the show floor, or save it for, press releases down the line. So we'll see what happens with that there. So overall, it's not, I don't want to say it's the least excited press conference I'm for, but it's definitely on the lower end of the spectrum for it, and we'll get to reasons why later. Obviously, I'm more excited for Sony and Nintendo, and then we'll get to the other ones later. But this one's not high on my priority, but I definitely want to see more Star Wars content. The other stuff I wouldn't mind reading in a presser. I fortunately fell for Donnie's trick and he convinced me, and I used vacation time, so I will actually be available for like all of the E3 content this year. So I'll be downloading it all as it's happening and doing some live stuff as well with you guys. But yeah, so I'm absorbing it all this year. Even the Microsoft press conference, I'll be home for everything. So
awesome.
It's going to be good to see. But yeah, so let's move on. Let's throw out some predictions here. Initially, we were going to give out 2 because there's going to be more of us. But if you got more, go for it. We'll go back and forth. I'll give you the first one.
All right, so my first one is a pretty safe one. Star Wars Battlefront 2 PS4 Pro Bundle.
Oh, okay. And any prediction to what it's going to be? Is it going to be Darth Vader themed again like it was last time, or what do you think?
No, I think it's actually going to be Empire themed, so I think it's going to just be, the Empire. I don't think it's going to be necessarily Vader, but I think it'll definitely have some tones for that since the main character is part of the Empire. So I think that's what it'll be.
I agree. Okay, that's a good one. Sorry, so I'll keep it Star Wars themed too then. I'm calling them right now that a Star Wars game, not sure which one it will be, but at least one of them will make it to the Nintendo Switch. Whether or not it's an exclusive title for the Switch or it's something that's going to be multi-platform, I don't think it's going to be Battlefront 2 if it's going to be something cross-platform, but at least one Star Wars game will make it to Nintendo Switch. It's one of mine.
That'll be good. All right, so my second one, this is a big one. This is kind of a wish. EA Access finally comes to PS4.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did not even think of that, but that would be insane.
Yeah, it would.
All right, so
I'm going for the year of dreams here.
I'm trying to match your insanity level here. I'm gonna have to go with the safe one in the meantime while I double check my facts on something before I make a bold one. Besides the Star Wars and besides the sports, I'm predicting that EA will announce more support for Nintendo at this press conference. They may not get into details. It may be smaller titles, but they're going to say something. And the reason I think for this is because Nintendo right now, it's getting a lot of play in the media, a lot of press. The sales have been fantastic. The leaks coming out. So, yeah, the whole Splatoon headset thing, that didn't do so good. But then Nintendo dropped the Megaton announcement about their online service late last night.
Yep. I
think it's a miss if not every third party says something, but most of them need to say something about, oh, yeah, hey, by the way, we'll be there with Nintendo as well. Whether they have something ready now or not, they have to at least step up and say, we pledge support to this.
Yeah.
And I anticipate some of that.
I absolutely agree. I mean, the Switch is not the Wii U. It actually is a good system that has lots of support. There are people just trying to get their hands on games. So I definitely expect to see a lot of third-party support to this system. I mean, people are just clamoring for games for this system. They need to do it. They need to go ahead and put as much stuff on there as possible. I really do think we'll get some really good stuff, especially from EA on the Switch. They'll find a way to make use of all the weird quirks of the Switch and actually do stuff, as well as get like just the core gamer stuff on there as well, I think.
Sure. You got any others?
Yeah. So this is another. I'm going big with all my E3 predictions. I don't feel like being safe. We're going to see the return of EA Big.
Oh.
Yeah, I think after this hype with NBA Playgrounds, even though it kind of, teetered off, I mean, there was a lot of excitement around this game, and they're still putting out, patches. There was a patch that came out today that I didn't even realize came out. So I think them seeing that, we need to get EA Big back. I mean, give me NBA Street, give me the FIFA games, the soccer, Soccer Street, FIFA Street, and the NFL one. And I think those would also be great games to go to the Switch. So why not bring back EA Big and put some of them games on the Switch? I think they are the perfect games for the Switch, where it's more of a co-op type system. You want to be able to play with people, show people that type of stuff, and it's portable. I think that would be a great get for on-the-go gaming.
I agree. And as you said that too, I was like, that's a great call, because that would, as excited I have it even on PS4 and Xbox and everyone else enjoy it, that is a perfect match for Nintendo right there. The EA Big stuff, graphically, it'll still be able to do it because they don't go super ultra realistic. It's still fun. Pick up and play game style works. So if they do that, I want SSX back.
Absolutely.
Bring that back.
Absolutely. Just bring back Tricky.
Just remaster Tricky. Same soundtrack, same everything. It's all good. That's a great one. All right, so here's my crazy one. I had to fact check to make sure this was in fact EA. I don't know if this is more of a prediction or a pipe dream, but it's worth a shot. The return of Dead Space.
Ooh. This is a great time for that.
It is. So you had Prey come out with Bethesda, which came out to good reviews, but then a lot of people afterwards were saying, I don't know if it's worth $60 though, because I guess overall it's relatively short. But a lot of them said like, hey, this is what Dead Space needs to be, because Dead Space 3, we don't want to talk about Dead Space 3, but Prey, a lot of people enjoyed, so now is a good time to bring it back and revamp it, and people are ready for it. The horror genre is still there; it's still going strong, just not as big as it was. You know, Resident Evil did well, Prey's doing well too, but like Outlast 2, nobody's talking about that. That came out, people just missed that completely. And I love the first one, and I haven't played the second one, so at this point, I'm like, I'll just wait till I get a good deal. But the horror genre is needing something, and I think Dead Space would be a good time to come back, do it right, fix what you guys broke, whether it's a reboot, whether it's a new character. Like, just don't even follow the same storyline. Just continue on somewhere else and bring that back. But that's the last one I have for E3. Do you have anything else?
No, that was all I got. That Dead Space is this is a great time. That would be perfect. that'd be a megaton bomb right there. Boom, Dead Space.
I think it'd be a good one. That's one we haven't heard the rumblings about. Nobody's been rumoring anything, so I think that'd be a good one to just drop, and people be one of those moments where people are like, oh man, the crowd goes wild. So.
Exactly.
All right, on to my favorite. Next one we're going to talk about tonight, Sunday, June 11th, Bethesda, who's had really good E3 press conferences the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, the first 2 years they've ever done it, they've done really well. So expectations are high. Mm-hmm. They're doing a crazy time slot this year, though. It's 9 p.m. West Coast, which means midnight for me, technically on June 12th, rather, on the East Coast. The length has not been announced, but typically they go for about 90 minutes to about an hour and 45, around there. I don't want to say sadly I'll be watching this live, but I will be watching this live. I'm just not crazy about the time slot. All right, so what do we expect to hear? Biggest thing right off the bat is, if you recall, a long time ago when Bethesda first announced, hey, we're still doing another press conference, they released this image that people have seen. You can look it up online. It's a Bethesda land graphic, and it looks like, if you went to Disneyland, you pick up the park map at the very front, has the different worlds. You can identify it by looking at it. Bethesda did the same thing. And they all feature their iconic franchises right now. You have a Fallout section, you have an Elder Scrolls section, you have a Quake section, a Doom section, a Prey section, and I feel like I'm missing one.
No, I think, you got it, Arcane. Yeah.
Dishonored section. Sorry, that was the other one.
Well, that's Arcane, Dishonored.
Yeah. But then there's two slots on this map that are under construction. So, kind of big question is, what are these sections that are under construction, and are all these different lands something that they're going to talk about at the conference? I think it's pretty safe to say if it's on the map, it's going to be mentioned somehow, somewhere.
Absolutely.
So I think one is guaranteed, and I'll get into why in just a second, to be Wolfenstein. Mm-hmm. Simply because if you recall last year's Bethesda conference, it started off with that fake boot up screen, and it listed a title of all these EA games. Wow. All these Bethesda games, and it said like the year it comes out. So for instance, it said like, Wolfenstein 3D, 5592, New Order, 5/20/14. It's just like a DOS screen. But one of them said New Colossus, and there was no date. So I'm saying right now, and I don't think this is a prediction, I think this is pretty much guaranteed, that we'll see the new Wolfenstein 1 unveiled at E3. That's going to be one of those slots.
Absolutely.
The other one, there can be some questions around that, and we'll save it for predictions, I guess. But the heavily rumored one, and Kyle mentioned it on our Twitter earlier, and I think it may be a safe one, is that the Evil Within 2. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that. Is that a possibility? Is that not? Maybe. I mean, the first one was all right. I reviewed it for the website. Wasn't crazy about it, but it certainly wasn't terrible. It was a good idea. I just think the execution was there. But other than that, we do know we're bound to see DLC plans for Dishonored and Prey. We're hearing. We're going to see more about Quake Champions, I'm sure, because it was only released as a cinematic trailer last year. We're pretty safe to say Wolfenstein. I think it's pretty much guaranteed we'll see something from Elder Scrolls.
Oh yeah, definitely. The online Elder Scrolls is still going strong. They actually put out a couple of tweets for polls about like what was your favorite moment and stuff like that. So they're definitely gearing up to have something for Elder Scrolls for sure.
Exactly, and I'll save what I think it is for the predictions. Fallout's on there, so we know they've been working on Fallout 4 VR. So I'm sure they're going to talk a little bit about that. And then I think they'll unveil Wolfenstein and discuss that as well. So we know they're going to probably talk about things like that. Before we get into predictions, we'll do the same thing we did last time. So Bethesda, are you excited for it? You know, is this one you're hyped for? We know I am, so I don't think I really need to talk about it. Right. But in your case, are you excited for Bethesda as well?
To be perfectly honest, I'm not really all that excited about Bethesda. I'm not outside of Dishonored. There hasn't been anything that Bethesda's put out that I've really gravitated towards. I liked Skyrim, but it was just one of those games that was too big, and I eventually just forgot what I was even doing, so it was hard to go back to it. Fallout just never really captured me. Again, another one of those games that's just too darn big for me. You know, it's funny. I have the Wolfenstein games, both of the ones that came out on PS4 and Xbox, but I have yet to even open them. It's just in my pile of shame. So, and I hear those are good, but it's just, you know, nothing from Bethesda has really, really grabbed me outside of Dishonored. So there's not a whole lot that I'm hyped for. I was hyped for Prey, but it just fell in a time where I couldn't really get to play it. So not looking forward to anything too much from Bethesda, but I'll definitely watch the conference just to see, you know, what's going on, what they're coming out with.
Right. I agree. And that's completely fair. Bethesda's not for everybody. The good thing is, like, over the last few years, they've at least branched out and they're doing different style games, like your Dishonored, like your Prey. You know, before it was always like, oh, Bethesda, Elder Scrolls, Fallout. If you don't like massive games, you're going to hate Bethesda. Like, now they're starting to hone it in and kind of spread out the type of games there. So there's almost something for everybody, unless you're like a sports fan, for Bethesda out there. So, all right. Let's jump right into predictions. And this time I'll go first. I'm going big. So I said, you know, Elder Scrolls, it's going to be talked about. The bombshell, though, it's only going to be, there might be some Elder Scrolls Online stuff because they kind of glance over that like they did last year, but they'll mention something. But other than that, they're only talking Elder Scrolls on Switch. They will not talk about what's following Skyrim. And this is only because, business-wise, it makes no sense to pitch your sequel to your game that's not out yet that's coming. So, yes, a lot of people have played Skyrim, but if you think about the traditional Nintendo fan, if you only have a Nintendo console, you have not played Skyrim. And everybody talks about Skyrim, whether you like it or not. People hail it as, you know, one of the greats from the last gen, and even from this gen in the remastered formats. So it doesn't make sense when they say, hey, you know, we have Skyrim coming out this fall, this winter, or whatever it's going to be announced for Switch, which they will give a date. I can guarantee that at E3. They will say it's coming out this date. But then to say right after, oh, we have the sequel coming out later. Well, clearly that sequel is not going to be on Switch if you're still working on the last one. So I don't think they're going to talk much, if anything, other than maybe a title saying the next one is Elder Scrolls, whatever it is. But you're not going to, it's not going to have a presence at E3. So that's my first prediction.
Well, that goes in, you know, complete opposite of my prediction, because I was going to say we're going to get the next traditional Elder Scrolls. But you bring up a very, very, very good point. Why would they do that and completely just cannibalize the Switch? Like, because that would make no sense whatsoever, because you're going to really alienate and upset, you know, the Switch owners, who we're not even sure which version of Skyrim we're getting on the Switch yet.
Exactly.
So that would be probably a bad move on their part, unless they also announce it is going to come to the Switch and it will come with the Skyrim. So that could be a thing. Yeah, that could be a cool thing they would do. So
that'd be so much content for one person to download though at once on Switch. Man, imagine playing through Skyrim and its sequel. See in 4 years, I don't need another game.
Right?
Wow. All right, so talked about Evil Within. That may or may not happen at E3. I don't really have too much to say about it. It's a possibility. We've heard rumors that in Japan, people have said they're working for They call it Psycho something. I forget what it was. It's like instead of being called the Evil Within in Japan, it's called Psycho something. People have said they're working on it. So whether or not they announce it there, I'm not sure. Wolfenstein, we already said. I'm pretty sure that's going to be announced. So I'm calling it right now, and this is mostly wishful thinking like Dead Space was, but the next Fallout game will be announced, and it will drop this year like they did with Fallout 4. They will announce, show it, and drop it. Here's my reasoning for backing this up. Look at the time frame between Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. It's the same time frame. They use the same engine. They use the same stuff. It's easy enough to revamp it. And they had that DLC for Fallout 4 all out, and it was still a ton of DLC like they always do. And it was all out in a timely fashion. Less than a year, you had all the DLC, and they were big DLC packs like they traditionally do. So they've had time to work on something else in the meantime, because I'm pretty sure that DLC was already ready when Fallout dropped, or almost ready. So I think they had enough time to pull it out. Now, yes, it won't be a ground-up, drastically looking different one, but it'll be very much like the difference between Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. I say, and like I said, part of it might be wishful thinking. Wear my Fallout shirt. They will announce it will be coming, and it will drop this year. So that's my big one.
That is a good one. Good time frame. All right, I can see that happening. My only other prediction was out there, wishful thinking. Dishonored was going to come to the Switch. They're going to bundle both of them together and bring them to the Switch, just to be able to put stuff out there for the Switch, capitalize on its hotness.
I agree, and I think graphically, the Switch can handle it.
Absolutely.
I think it'll look good, and it's small enough content that it should be a quick port for them to pull it out. That's a great one. I didn't even think of that, but that's great. That, in my mind, would have been a much more realistic announcement than them saying initially that Skyrim was coming to Switch.
Agreed. Absolutely.
But no, you're spot on there. So my last prediction here, and this is partly due to the map. So you look at the map, and we've talked about all the different franchises that are on there. There's one franchise we didn't talk about that's on there, and that's Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Doom will be the next mobile app Bethesda does. So if you recall, last year they talked about making more mobile apps to follow the success of Fallout Shelter, and that's done very well for them. And they're still releasing updates for that thing, which is crazy. They've added like stories and missions to it, the whole nine, and they're making money off it, so why not? But they did say that the next app would be something drastically different than Fallout, and something you traditionally don't see too much of on the Android and Apple market. And that, I think, would be a first-person shooter type game. And if they could pull it off of Doom, I think that's a franchise that most people know. Yeah, and it'll be something different. You don't get a lot of those on the mobile apps, especially not shooters that are done well on mobile apps. So
that would be awesome. I would actually maybe play that on my phone.
So that's my last one there. Like I said, Evil Within 2, if they announce it, cool. I'm on board. But much like the first one, I didn't play that till way later. Like I think I picked it up used at GameStop for like $10, right? And it was totally worth the $10 playthrough. But it's not something that if Bethesda announces, I'm gonna go crazy like I will for Fallout or Wolfenstein or anything like that. So if they say it, cool. If they don't, whatever, that's fine. But I'd be interested if it's not that to see if there's a new IP that they announce that's that other under construction space that we don't know about coming. So
all right.
So all right, I think we covered Bethesda, so I can calm down a little bit now. Let me check my heart rate. My heart rate is legit at 101 beats per minute right now. My Fitbit, so I need to calm down.
Somebody loves Bethesda. I
do. I love me some Bethesda. So something else I do love me some is Ubisoft or Ubisoft or somebody soft, and they are presenting on Monday, 1 p.m. Cali time, which is 4 p.m. Eastern time for us normal people. They also haven't announced how long there is, but Ubisoft's like the last couple of years have been 2 hours or just over 2 hours. They're a long one. So they're doing it again. Let's see. They've already announced some stuff that's going to be coming that they made clear, and Far Cry 5 is one of them. So we'll talk about that. South Park, The Fractured But Whole will be talked about for sure. I feel like I'm missing something else that they talked about already that they unveiled. Maybe not. But we're anticipating they will show Assassin's Creed after a 2-year hiatus to come back with that. The Mario and Rabbids game for the Switch that's been heavily rumored, and there's been a ton of leaks lately about. I'm sure we'll see some of that. Let's see. What else did I have written down here? Oh, the Crew 2. They're working on that, so I'm sure we'll see some of that.
And, of course, we'll see Just Dance.
You know what? That's the one they haven't shown though, which is weird.
They don't need to show. We know it's going to
true.
be there, and it's going to be on there for way too long.
Yeah, anytime it's on there, it's for way too long. The interesting thing they did do, and I sent this out to you guys too. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it. The video they put out, the teaser.
I did. Yeah,
so,
I saw it. It was funny.
It was funny. So for those of you who haven't seen, there was 2 unnamed Ubisoft employees and the CEO were saying that, hey, we got the new trailers to E3 announcements, and it had all redacted stuff that they couldn't show you. So there are some things you could tell from there. They did show a lot of South Park on there. We saw Far Cry on there. So we know that stuff's coming there too. And there's a lot of stuff. One thing to note was part of it did say Easter eggs deemed a PR risk. Not sure what that means. That the CEO will announce during the conference. It promised a new feature. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. And then a new IP will be on this trailer as well too. So not really quite sure what those are. But before we get to predictions, we know we're going to see Far Cry 5. I think we can talk about that first because we haven't had a chance to talk about it on any of the podcasts yet. Hey, I know you got some strong feelings about it.
Oh, man. That cover, I was like, oh, what are they doing?
It's set in modern-day Montana and focuses on a fanatical doomsday religious cult from what we can tell. Due out February 27th right now. For 2018 is kind of what it's rumored as. So whether or not it hits that, we'll find out.
Yeah, that'll get delayed.
But I don't know. The Far Cry's, I don't remember them really being delayed though. So I mean, I could be wrong, but content aside, it looks good. Yeah, it does. It does look good. Now, it can make some people feel uncomfortable, and I've seen a lot of press that they're like, "Oh, they're attacking, white America, or they're, do they want to go this route?" And it's like, you know what?
I applaud them for doing that. I applaud them. Go for it. Just you know what? It's funny because they're capitalizing on literally what's going on in the world right now. Like it's a perfect time to release something like that. It doesn't. I don't say it attacks white America. It just attacks the whole idea of just that fanaticism, that cultish type mentality. Because if you look at it, it's a little bit of everything. So I actually like the direction they're going with it, and it gives you a protagonist that you actually want to go get. Like you're like, okay. I want to take them out. I want to go fight them. So I really like what they've done with the tone, the theme. I'm ready to go get rid of some fanatics right now. Yeah, and you're right. It touches on a nerve that's kind of going through the country right now, and it's not. So it's the cult. Pretty much everybody seems to be white in there, but the characters that they're showing that you are fighting with, the good guys in this, it's different races. And they're doing it for different, purposes. This is my country. This is what I believe in. This is my country. This is what I believe in. So both sides are technically fighting for what they believe in. Clearly, one is not right and one is right. But it's something very real in the country we have that's divided. Not to get too political and play some video games, but I like you said, I applaud them for doing this and not backing down and not feeding into the press where people are clearly just trying to bait them into some sort of argument, and they're just not even saying anything. But you're 100% right. They gave you an enemy. You're like, I want to go get them. And, I mean, Far Cry 4 was good. I enjoyed it. But Far Cry 3, did you play Far Cry 3? Yeah, I played some of it.
Okay. That, to me, was great. That gave you a villain that was still one of my favorite villains in all video game. That's Vaz. He was nuts, and he made you want to get him for what he did. And that's the same feeling I'm getting from this one. Whereas Far Cry 4, you still felt, okay, this dude's bad, but it wasn't as blown out of proportion, I think, because even the good guys weren't all good either. So, but yeah, this one's got me excited. I love the Far Cry games. Since 3, I've played them all. I did not play Primal, and that's only because it was just so, not that because I think it's a bad game. A lot of people say it was good. It was just so different than the other Far Cries. I'm like, I'm not interested in that.
Huge departure from what you're used to. So yeah, I can understand not playing that one.
Right. So I played 3, I played Blood Dragon, I played 4, all good. So yeah, I'm excited for that. So I hope they give some more details there. They obviously don't need to do another trailer because they released like 8 trailers that day. But if they show some gameplay, maybe some multiplayer, how that's going to work, that'd be cool. I'm down for that.
Yeah, because I think they said you can play the whole game co-op.
Yep.
Which I'm looking forward to. I'm all about the co-op, so I would love to just jump in this game with a person.
Right.
And just go all the way through it. Like, why not?
Yeah, so I think that's going to be awesome. So South Park, we've seen a lot of South Park since last year, and that kind of went really quiet as to when it was coming out. We thought it was coming out like last Christmas, and it was like, nope, and it got pushed way the heck out. We still don't have a hard date, do we?
I think it's just fall of this year. I don't know if it had a hard date at all. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I think I do have a date for it. I feel like they did date it.
October, I think. Was it October?
Where are you? Yeah, October 17th.
Okay. So we know that's coming. I don't think they're going to announce another delay. So that'll be interesting to do. I played probably half of Stick of Truth on PC. I enjoyed it. I mean, I haven't liked South Park. I haven't watched South Park in like 10 years or 15 years at this point.
Oh,
I did watch when it first was out, so I still caught a lot of the jokes and I recognize all the characters. That's fine.
Right.
But I will play this one on console because of what I played on the PC for Stick of Truth. It was a lot of fun, so I'm expecting more of the same there, and that's in a good way.
Yeah, same here.
I think they got a good thing going with the South Park games. As long as they can, I think they'll continue, and they may have quote unquote new franchise on their hands if they can get them out in a more timely fashion. I feel like it's been a long time since Stick of Truth.
Yeah, it was a long time.
And the fact that they announced like, hey, if you pre-order, Fractured But Whole, you'll get Stick of Truth on your next gen console right away. And it was like, okay, but it's been like 2 years since I did that now. So it's like,
yeah, it's been a long time. They got to get these out in a more timely fashion, but they could definitely have another franchise on their hands. South Park has been around forever since when I was in junior high. It's still going. So yeah, if they can capitalize on that and get these games out in a more timely manner, or if they just add DLC packs to them or something, it definitely could be something that could take off for them for sure.
Yeah, and I mean it's all satirical based, so that Stick of Truth is very World of Warcraft. This one's very marketing off the superhero craze.
Mm-hmm.
You'll always have content to poke fun of and mock, so it's not like you need a ton there. But I'm sure the voice acting takes a ton of time and lining up that talent. Things like that, it probably takes longer than the actual programming and development of that game. But so we'll see some of that. So the Crew 2, I don't think they've shown that much, but we know it's coming.
Yeah, I've just seen a logo for that. I haven't seen anything else other than just the logo.
So I think we'll get like the full unveiling at E3 on that one. You mentioned Just Dance. I'm sure it's going to be announced. Whether or not they're still talking about the cell phone app, or more likely they're going to throw out the whole. There'll be one on Switch. That's what they'll focus on. Because last year they focused on the Wii U one. So.
I mean, that's typically where that game has always sold the most, has been on the Nintendo systems. I remember, oh my God, Just Dance on the Wii would just fly off shelves.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't sell on any other system.
Nope.
On the Wii, it was flying off the shelf. So I definitely anticipate it being, touted for the Switch. And yeah, it's going to sell because they always do.
I agree. We know we're going to see some Assassin's Creed. And there's been some leaks this week, too.
Mm-hmm.
Some screenshots that supposedly showed the main characters, and a promotional T-shirt leak that confirms the character supposedly is Bayek. And the title is now rumored to be called Assassin's Creed Origins. And from what we're hearing, it's going to be set in ancient Egypt, so a little bit different locale for them, but it fits. And I mean, Assassin's Creed has been a love-hate thing with me. Not a hate so much, but a love and I don't really care relationship, I think. So some of the games have been great, and I've really connected with them. Black Flag was probably my favorite one. Love that one. Except for the boat combat. If you take that out, I loved it. And the last one, I forget what the name of the last one was. Syndicate. I enjoyed Syndicate as well. So this one may be hit or miss depending on how wacky they get. But I'm always down for an Assassin's Creed once in a while. And the good thing is, even if you're not a hardcore fan, like day one, I'm going to run out and get it. Assassin's Creed games drop in price pretty quick. So give it like 4 or 5 months, you'll grab it for $30 and still have a blast with it anyway.
Yeah,
so
it'll definitely be $30 on Black Friday.
Oh yeah. That's kind of happens to every single one of them. But yeah, I think it's time. I think the 2-year cycle will be more beneficial for them if they go to this mode instead of release them annually. Give people time to digest and not be like, oh man, another one of these things, and
exactly
work on a better story. Like Black Flag, I think had a great story. I think that was one of the things that worked for it. Whether or not you like the combat, you like the naval thing, I think the story was solid there.
Yeah.
Continue on with that, and I think you'll have some success there. So we know we're going to see Assassin's Creed. Before we get to predictions, I guess overall, what do you think? Are you excited for Ubisoft? Do you think there's going to be anything big? Don't make any predictions yet. But do you think it's going to be a big one? Because it does seem a little weird, and it seems what's the other thing we should note? Aisha Tyler supposedly is not hosting. But did they actually say she's not hosting, or did that funny video just imply it.
Well, the funny video implied it. It said hosted
Right.
by devs, and then you had in the bottom like in caption, "Sorry, Aisha." And so I'm assuming that they're not. And I saw a tweet from her that seemed like she wasn't doing it. So that's odd because I'm used to that as that how they've always shown their conference. It's always been with her, who I like. I like Aisha.
She's fine. She's a good host for it.
She likes video games. It all works. So it'll be a different conference for them for sure. It'll definitely have a different tone. But I am excited for Ubisoft. It's one of my favorite friend devs right now, or pubs. With Watch Dogs 2 and Wildlands, those were two games that I really, really enjoyed. It almost feels like a resurgence for Ubisoft, getting their feet under them, being able to rectify all the stuff that we didn't like about Watch Dogs 1 and do Watch Dogs 2, being able to take a 2-year development cycle for Assassin's Creed instead of just flushing out back to back another Assassin's Creed. I think that's going to be good for them in the long run. We're finally going to get stick of truth. So I'm really excited for Ubisoft and what they're going to bring. I actually am one of the few people who really enjoyed the Ezio trilogy for Assassin's Creed. From Deslin's standpoint, I really liked that whole interaction. So I'm looking forward to a new story. I still love the whole idea of the Assassins versus the Templars, and I love ancient Egypt setting. So I'm really, really excited for Ubisoft.
One thing to know, I think I kind of blanked out on it. Division 2, I'm sure we'll see something for that, I would think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a prediction per se. Like, I think it's kind of a given, maybe. And maybe it is a prediction. I don't know.
It's got to be a given. If they're planning to keep that audience around, I mean, there are people out there who still play and still love the Division, but their in-game fell off so hard and it's gone through so many revisions and so many changes that if they really want to, capitalize and keep that franchise alive, they've got to announce Division 2 this year, and they have to have something big that's going to revitalize that particular fan base. Because I was expecting that to be my other game that I played outside of Destiny. I was expecting it to be Destiny and Division just did not do it for me at all. So they definitely have something there. They just need to tweak it and come back big with Division 2, honestly.
Okay. I think that's pretty fair. All right, so for me, I mean, you kind of touched on it. Ubi's been exciting lately. The stuff they put out. So I told you the other day I picked up Watch Dogs 2. I haven't played it yet. Finishing up some other stuff first. But I liked the first Watch Dogs. I wasn't one of those people who were super hypercritical about the game. I enjoyed it for what it was and was like, wow, there's some really unique things here. If they could just make it better, which from what I've heard from everybody, Watch Dogs 2 does that. It'll be pretty cool. And I mean, they always have some sort of content they throw out there. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Let me try out that. I didn't jump in on the Division like a lot of people did. But they always kind of have at least 3 or 4 or 5 games they throw out there. I'm like, I'll get around to playing this. And I don't always think about it when I look back and think, okay, well, all the games I played last year, what did I play? And I look back and there might be like 4 or 5 Ubisoft games every year. And I'm like, man, but I didn't realize that I wasn't doing it consciously where I'm like, oh, I love this developer. It's just every time I'm like, oh, shoot, that's right. They did do that. All right, cool. I like that one. So we'll see what happens. So I guess we could jump into predictions here. And I mean, they're kind of hit or miss because we know things are coming. But there's a lot of stuff that could be out there. And I think we might have some interesting predictions here. So I'll let you go first.
All right, yeah. So I was going to say new IP, but they already put that in their little teaser trailer. So that just completely threw me off. But I think the new IP is definitely going to be something sci-fi. So that's my prediction. It's going to be something sci-fi. They're going to jump into that same space with Destiny and BioWare, all trying to capitalize on this shared co-op sci-fi world experience. So I definitely think that's what the new IP is going to be. But I don't think we're going to see like the game until really late. Like I feel like we won't really know really what it's going to be until like 2018. So we'll get a little tease of some sci-fi grandiose adventure or whatnot.
All right, so I didn't have this down as my prediction, but you talked about the new IP. You kind of brought it up. And I was thinking about this the other day when I first saw the trailer. There is a possibility, though, that this new IP is that Rabbids and Mario crossover.
That's true.
So I'm a little hesitant to jump on board with your prediction there. I think a space game from Ubisoft makes a ton of sense, though. So I think it's totally believable. But in my mind, I'm almost like, I don't know if that is going to be on Nintendo's main stage or that's going to be on Ubisoft's main stage. I think it's better if it's on Ubisoft's main stage because that gives them big credibility to support Nintendo, which they said right out of the gates with Switch that they were going to be there.
Yeah.
So I think it's bigger for them to talk about it than it is Nintendo, especially when you have the Rabbids involved. So they've been cross-platform. They've been on every console, and most recently they've kind of only been on Xbox. So for them to come out and say on Nintendo's main stage, hey, we got the Rabbids, people may not associate that with Nintendo anymore at this point since the days of Wii when they were on it. But so I'm not sure about that. But so my first actual prediction then, as opposed to something I was just thinking about, South Park, even though they said will not be on Switch, will be announced for Switch. That's what I'm calling. Whether or not it's the new one or it's a remaster of like Stick of Truth, I think Switch is going to get some South Park from Ubisoft.
I agree. I think that's definitely safe, and they should do that. I mean, why not? Most people that are playing the Switch are old enough to appreciate South Park, so I think that would be a fun game to play on the go, to be able to have that in your back pocket, just jump out and play some Stick of Truth. Yeah, absolutely. Either or Stick of Truth or Fracture But Whole, that would be a great get for the Switch.
Yep, I agree.
All right, my next prediction, we will see Beyond Good and Evil 2. And it's not going to be a Switch exclusive.
No. I'm with you. I had that on my list as well, too. I didn't write that it was going to be a Switch exclusive, but I feel the same way you do, that it's not going to be there. All right, so let's see. Which one do I want to go with then? I feel... This is weird. So we know that they've already said that Rayman's Legends, I believe it was, is coming to the Switch, or Rayman Adventures, one of those ones was coming to the Switch already. I think we will, besides that, get something else new featuring Rayman announced. I don't think it's going to be an exclusive Switch thing. It's going to be a cross-platform thing, but I think we're going to see a new Rayman from UbiArt announced and shown. And I'll even go out on a limb and say it's gonna be released this year as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. I don't have any other predictions for Ubisoft. We already know so much. Yeah, we already know so much about what they're doing, and that little teaser trailer also says so much. And it's funny that they put that trailer out because the whole thing is always UbiLeaks. They even put that in their games. Like there's a mission in Watch Dogs where you can actually get into Ubisoft and watch the leaks. So I don't think there's anything that I can predict at this point for them that we don't already know.
Okay. Do you think Assassin's Creed will be coming to Switch?
That's a tough one. I feel like everything should come to Switch. That's the thing. Like I feel like the system is good enough to actually have some version of everything. But for some reason, it's just not there. And I think a lot of that is because of the Wii U. Yeah. But the fact that the Switch has actually shown that it's got legs and it's not one of these systems that came out and then you just can't find it for a year. They've actually consistently stocked them. Like I can actually go into stores and I'll see one or two every now and again, 2 or 3 here and there. So I think the fact that they actually have been able to actually produce them and get them into the wild and people are still buying them and they're not sitting on shelves, there is a definite desire there. So I feel like third parties are noticing that, and they will start putting a lot more stuff on the Switch than what we saw from the Wii U. So that's why I feel like everything should be on Switch. Why not make a Switch version of it? And for Nintendo fans, like it's not always about the graphics. It's about the gameplay. So if you can give me a version of the game that plays well, it doesn't have to look like the PS4 or the Xbox 360. Just give me a version of the game that runs well.
Agreed. That makes sense. All right, so my last prediction, I guess, or more a question to you. Is it time for Splinter Cell to come back?
Absolutely. Dang, I forgot all about. See, stuff goes away for a while, and you get so much new stuff, you forget about the good stuff. See, Kevin, you're good. You got the Dead Space, you got Splinter Cell. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's one of those games that if they drop and just show like a cinematic trailer and say, 2018 or whatever it is, that's going to be enough that people will be like, heck yeah, bring it back. Like they'll get excited for something like that. And I think that's one of those moments you can almost end the press conference on. Absolutely. It's just showing a cinematic trailer for Splinter Cell and then letting it go, fade to black then. That'd be a good exclamation point on it. Now, a question for you that I was thinking about too before you jump in, because you already played it. Watch Dogs 2, has all the DLC released, or could there be more DLC coming that's announced or shown at E3?
They could definitely announce more DLC for this game. I think everything has come out for that's been in the season pass. I think that's all dropped. But that world that they've built, you could easily throw more stuff into it. So they could very easily announce a season 2 of Watch Dogs 2 or more DLC because it didn't do sales wise what they wanted. So this could be another way just to invigorate that franchise and get some more DLC out there to get people buying the game again. Because it was a really, really good game. I enjoyed that one just immensely. So it definitely could be. But what I was going to ask you and flip on you was with the Dead Space, with a announcement of Splinter Cell, are we running into the fact where we're announcing games too early again? Where we're getting people excited for these games and then we don't hear about them for years, especially with this generation. It just feels so weird. We have these 0.5 systems, and are we going to see a new PS4 next year? Are we going to see, even though we're getting the Scorpio, if we see a new PS4 or a new PlayStation system, are we going to see another Xbox system? Like this generation, the way the consoles have come out is so odd. It's just completely different than anything we've seen. So are we announcing games too soon?
It's funny you should ask that. So this will segue nicely into the listener questions we had. So Donnie actually posed this question to us about it. And here's my take on it. All right. So third parties haven't been, to my knowledge, and I might be wrong, anywhere near as bad with this as the first parties are. When you think about these games that are announced that don't come out till 3 to 5 to whatever years later, they all seem to be console exclusive stuff. It seems like when a third party drops something, when the EA drops something, when a Ubisoft drops something, Bethesda, especially like Fallout 4 was like, hey, here's Fallout 4. Oh, by the way, 2 months in your hands, done. Like nobody saw it coming. I feel like they're a lot better at getting the hype on and saying, okay, if we're going to show you something, it's going to be out within a year to a year and a half. I'm okay with that timeline. The games where they announce and it's like 3 to 5 years out, like we're seeing right now with the Final Fantasy VII.
Kingdom
I
Hearts
don't even
3.
want to call it a remaster because it's not even a remaster. It's something totally different. I'm talking about, yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 is a great one because, I mean, I've been waiting forever for that. I've been waiting since PS2 for that. So games like that, yeah, we're seeing it from some things, and those ones kind of drive me a little bit nuts. But, I mean, shoot, I get hyped for those trailers, though. But then I forget about it.
Yeah.
So I think if you do, like, a nice cinematic trailer for something, you show me a cinematic trailer for Kingdom Hearts, let's say 2 years ago, and then don't talk about it. And then this year's E3, you drop another trailer and say, hey, it's coming out next year. I'm cool with that because I got really excited. I forgot about it. I got excited, and I'll have it next year. I'm okay with the methodology of that as long as it's something worth getting excited about. When you just show something, you're like, I don't know what this is, and you're telling me it's coming in 2019, I don't really care. But these iconic games, nah. But these games, you know, if you do a Splinter Cell, if you do something that actually get you excited for it, I'm okay with it, to be honest. So it doesn't drive me too nuts. And I think the third parties are much better at containing that more than, you know, your Sonys and your Microsofts are, you know, announcing stuff, you know, at the launches or the announcements, unveilings of PS4 and Xbox One that now, all these years later, we still don't have and haven't heard anything about in years. Those ones are kind of dumb, but your more iconic stuff, they seem to be able to transition those a little bit better. So for me, it's not a big deal. What do you think?
I mean, it's hard to say for me. Like, if stuff is going to come out within the next year, yes. Only because it's like, are we going to get a new PlayStation and a new Xbox in 2019? So it's one of those things where, like, I kind of feel like we're on the edge of the end of this console cycle already, which irritates me. After the PS3 and Xbox generation being so long, to already feel like we're kind of at the end of this and we're about to get new boxes, but we're getting new boxes right now. It's just so weird. So I'm like with Last of Us 2, is that going to be a PS5 game? Is Death Stranding going to be a PS5 game? Is anything announced at this E3? Do they have the chance of coming out for the next box instead of what we have currently? So that's where I'm kind of very trepidatiously like, I don't know if I want to hear too much new IP stuff because I don't know if it's going to come out for the systems we currently own or if it's going to come out for the next thing. And if it comes out for the next box, is it going to also release on what we have currently and then be held back by old technology?
Good point. So before we get to the second half of Donnie's question, breaking news right now. Just as I was looking up because I kind of forgot about it, Devolver Digital that was going to do their thing. They canceled it. So their indie picnic event has been canceled as of like 6 hours ago, looks like, according to the internet. So yeah.
That's funny.
So
They're
I mean, they're an interesting bunch to begin with, but it's very
Yeah.
funny that they said, hey, we're going to be doing this for the first time ever. And then now it's like, yeah, about that.
The real
So
question is, did we really ever expect them to do it? I didn't, to be perfectly honest. I thought it was all just fun and games. I didn't think they were actually going to have a conference.
yeah, maybe it's just we were hoping it was going to happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's out the window. So I'm glad I didn't have that down in the notes to actually talk about. So all right, so back to the second half of Donnie's question. So we asked about the same question you posed. You know, are games getting announced too early? Are there any games that we heard that had already been announced that just suddenly went silent that we're still hoping come out? So yeah, you go first because
the only ones, honestly, that have been announced that we just are like, what the heck is going on? Is the Square Enix stuff? Is Kingdom Hearts 3, Final Fantasy 7 remake, and like Shenmue? But I don't even care about Shenmue, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But those are the only ones that I'm like, where the heck are these games? And then stuff like Deep Down, which looked cool, but went completely silent.
Yeah.
Other than that, no, everything else has pretty much come out or been canceled. So
yeah, I mean, for me, you said Kingdom Hearts 3, that's spot on for me. That's the one I've been waiting for a long time. I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, and by that I mean I only like Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 because a lot of the spin-offs are just ridiculous and they weren't right. But yeah, I mean, you think, what was it, 2 or 3 E3s ago, they showed the level from Tangled. They showed some gameplay footage. And they've mentioned nothing since. And the problem... All right, so your first 2 Kingdom Hearts games, they worked so well because they were with what I would consider to be evergreen content for Disney. They were the classic movies that everybody remembers and every kid gravitates towards and every kid has seen and can remember and can appreciate. Nowadays, these movies coming out by Disney and these licenses aren't really evergreen.
Right.
They come and go. There's been great movies, do not get me wrong, but they're coming and going so quick. How on earth can Square Enix program that world in and have it still be relevant by the time this game comes out at this pace? Maybe that's what's holding it up. Maybe they keep doing ideas and saying, all right, we did this awesome Big Hero 6 level, and I can imagine teaming up with Baymax. That'd be kind of awesome for a level, but does anybody remember that movie anymore or care? Frozen, okay, you can do that one. Kids will still care about that one. That makes sense. But, Zootopia, you doing a Zootopia level at this point?
Right.
Once again, another good movie, but it's not one that I really care about anymore. So I don't know if stuff like that's holding up. But yeah, I'm with you. Kingdom Hearts is the only one. Final Fantasy 7, I was pumped for when they announced it. And now at this point, I'm kind of like, honestly, if it doesn't happen, I'm like, all right, whatever. Like,
same here.
I loved it back then. So cool if you don't do it.
Dave, that for me is one that I've been hoping for since PS3, and we haven't gotten it since.
Right.
And I'm just like, well, whatever.
That's kind of the thing. It's like if you spend too long in the development cycle and we know about it, I think it gets to a certain point where you go, all right, let's just pull a plug on this thing because even if it comes out, is it going to get the same hype? Is it going to still be relevant as a game? Is it going to, if it's a remaster or a continuation of something, has the time passed too long where it makes sense to do it anymore?
Yeah. Another one is Cuphead.
Oh, God. Dude, I want Cuphead to just come out and then not be Xbox exclusive at this point because if this is an indie studio working on a game for like, 3 or 4 years at this point, at this point, this developer, if they plan on making any money, they need to go cross-platform or at least hit Steam because you got to make some money. Jeremy Alessi, from Midnight Status we talked to last week, for his thing, he talked about in development of Swapfire, which was an indie title only on the Wii U. His family livelihood was on the line putting out that game on his own. I can't imagine an indie studio spending this long developing one game. And I mean, yeah, it looks, or at least looked the last time we saw it, amazing. But at this point, you got to be like, all right, sorry, unless Microsoft is dumping, backing up truckloads of cash at my house, it doesn't make sense to stay exclusive with them. So maybe they broke the contract. Maybe we'll see the game announced at E3. Maybe it'll launch at E3. Who knows at this point? Yeah. But that's something that was like, okay, that got everyone hyped. And I mean, I think people will still buy it when it comes out, but now it's like, all right, the hype is gone because you weren't that big of a franchise to be like, I'm foaming at the mouth and still talking about this on a, monthly basis with my friends trying to get this game to come out. So it's not like that. So
yeah, you got to capitalize on that hype when you got it. Once it dies out, it just becomes a negative stigma. Like, is this game ever coming out? Is it broken? Like, what's going on with the development cycle? So yeah, when things take too long, they lose it.
Yep. And like I said, you could take a big franchise and give it 2 years after making an announcement, and that'll still have people interested. But an indie game,
yeah,
I mean, that's a tight window in a lot of things, unless you're an established indie developer or you got some, well-known, developer working on it kind of deal. That's the only times you can hang on to that. And Cuphead, unfortunately, has neither going for him except for, a really good showing, but it doesn't have the other stuff to keep it going. So I think that answers Donnie's question. So let's jump over to Twitter and see what we got going on there. Okay, actually, so let's jump right into Kyle, who asks, are we ready to jump back into Assassin's Creed? And what do they need to show to get you hyped for this series? So,
I'm ready to jump back into Assassin's Creed. I didn't play Syndicate. I didn't play Unity. So the last one I played was Black Flag. And even though the ship combat really just didn't... I did not enjoy the ship combat at all. I want to be an assassin. I want to run around and stealthily kill people. I don't need to be on a boat at all. So the idea of it being in an ancient Egypt setting, I feel like really has a good tone. All they need to show me is being able
probably won't be boats.
Yeah, there won't be boats. I mean, there may be canoes going across the Nile or something like that, but
it won't be boat combat though.
I don't see no boat combat. All I need to see is stealth. Just show me an assassin jumping from a pyramid.
Yeah, right, diving off a pyramid.
Diving off a pyramid, stabbing somebody in the throat. I'm good. I'm there.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I think I'm ready for an Assassin's Creed game again. I didn't play all of Syndicate, but I think I got like a rental for it, so I played it for like a day or two. Really actually enjoyed that one, so I'd love to actually get back into that. But yeah, I'm ready for it. Like I said earlier, I think the 2-year cycle for them is very forgiving. I think that'll be really good. It'll get people saying like, I could go for some Assassin's Creed again. So if you're on the fence, you're more likely after 2 years to jump back in, I think, more than an annual series. You'll still get the hardcore people every annual series, but I think you'll be able to sell more copies doing it every other year. So hopefully they continue that. But yeah, I mean, they don't really need. They just need to show me more of the same, and I'll be happy. I know they've been better with this anyway, but show me less of the real world stuff.
I want to see more of the real world stuff. That's honestly what drew me in the most, was being able, especially going from Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2, it literally picking up at the exact end of Assassin's Creed 1. I enjoyed, and I wanted to see where that story was going. Like, what was going to happen? We got the Apple of Eden. We got all that. Like, what's next? Like, I was excited by that. I enjoyed the real world portion of the game, and I know I'm in the vast minority with that.
Well, here's the thing. So me coming on, I was later to the Assassin's Creed thing, but you're right. That part of the storyline intrigued me. So I'm with you there 100%. But I would rather than, if you're going to do that, have a game for that.
Yeah.
Instead of these, I'm going to play for like 8 hours and get a 20-minute snippet of the real world. I mean, you think about all these games that you've played, and they all have those segments, those fragments of those in that game, and you still don't know what the heck's going on after all these years.
Yeah.
So give me one in the modern time of what's going on. And you could do a whole game of that. Yes, it's not going to be the same type of game, I think, for the most part. It'll have to be something a little bit different. But then do that, because you're running out of historical periods and locations.
Right.
Eventually, I mean, they still have places they can go, don't get me wrong, but they're going to run out in the next, I would say, 4 or 5 years before you start double dipping into stuff.
Yeah.
No, 4 or 5 games, I should say, because they may take more than that for years. But I think Assassin's Creed is a series we're going to have for a long time. I don't think it's going away at any point.
Right.
But yeah, I want to see more of the same. I'd like them to rein in a little bit. They did a decent job with that in Syndicate, though. The whole, here's your map, here's everything you could do, and then just put information. Get rid of that stuff. You have your treasure things, that's fine. You can have your targets, that's fine. You don't need the 90 million viewpoints. You don't need to grab the music sheets. You don't need to grab this. You don't need. Just keep it simple. That's what I think people love the most about it. It's not the 90 million collectibles.
Right.
For me in that game, so there's been a few games that have been able to get me hooked on collectibles. I'm like, oh, I got to find all this. Assassin's Creed has never interested me in getting the collectibles.
Same.
And so at this point, get rid of them. Nobody's doing it. So just move on.
I'm not collecting a bunch of feathers, the music sheets, all the king's flags or whatnot in Assassin's Creed 1. Oh, absolutely not.
No. So
absolutely not. I mean, if it was like a decent amount of them, not 50 billion, sure. But when it's like 100 on each little section of the map, no way. No way.
I'm with you. So I think this is our last question. Jace sends a question at Jace Plays Games on Twitter. When does the new Mega Man game from Capcom come out?
The Blue Bomber. A new Mega Man game?
That's what he says. New Mega Man game.
I mean, if anything, give us a new Mega Man game for the Switch.
That's what I'm thinking.
That would be great. I mean, that is a historic franchise that you really tie back to Nintendo. Like when I think Mega Man, I think Nintendo. I don't think any other system, honestly. I think Nintendo. So if you could get a console exclusive Mega Man to the Switch that takes it back to probably the 2D route, I think that would be fantastic. That's the Mega Man game I want to see. I don't want to see anything else. They've released ports of every Mega Man for every system at this point.
Yep.
But if you could get a brand new entry in the Mega Man series exclusively on Switch that ties into the 2D roots, I think that would be a great get for Nintendo. And
I think that's a safe bet too. If there is a Mega Man game coming from Capcom, if Capcom stops ignoring it,
right,
then yeah, this is the route to go. Because other than that, you only see Mega Man and Marvel versus Capcom. You don't see anything else. So, but what I want more than that, and I'm in a vast minority here, so I'll tell you that right now. Maybe Jace will agree with me. You'll have to tweet at us after, Jace. Mega Man Battle Network. Bring that back to Switch.
I remember that.
So I had fun with those games. Yeah, it went on way too long, and they did like 6 or 7 of those by the time it was all said on the Game Boy Advance and the 3DS. But I liked those games, and I liked the premise of, Mega Man's in this virtual world, and he can hack things, and it's like he's a presence, and it's almost like a Matrix effect.
Right.
I liked them. I enjoyed them, and I think if you put that on a Switch and then Switch on the go and be able to battle people, a la like Pokemon, I think that could work. So I don't think they're gonna do it, but that's what I'd want.
It could be a niche win.
Maybe we'll see. But I think that's all the questions we got. That's all the content we got. So I guess we can chat a little bit overall, because neither one of us were really on all the podcast covering E3. Yeah. So
I was just on PlayStation and this,
and I was just on Nintendo in this. So what are you excited to see from the big three? What are you thinking there? Like who's coming out on top? Who's bringing it? Who needs to bring it? Et cetera, et cetera.
All right. Well, who needs to bring it? Honestly, in my opinion, is Microsoft. They need to bring it. You've got a brand new. I don't care if they say it's not a new system. It's a brand new system. When you look at the specs and what they've put in that box, it's a new system. Yes, it'll play all of the Xbox One games, albeit they'll be the best experience for all third-party games. They're saying will be on the Scorpio. I think they really need to bring it big time. I think they're the ones that everybody is looking for. What do you got, Microsoft? What are you going to show me? What do you have? Prove to me that I need to get this Scorpio. So I think they need to bring it. I'm looking forward to them. I want them to bring it. I want to see what they have. I need to see new games. I need to see some kind of exclusive that's going to draw me into getting a Scorpio, because at this point, even though the system is more powerful, there's only so much I feel like you can do. Games look gorgeous. They're not going to get that much better looking, especially if I can get them in 4K. When you can't even really discern that much of a difference between native 4K and like the checkerboarding, it looks gorgeous regardless. So you're going to have something that's going to draw me in to buy that system. I love the idea of the Games Pass. That is something that I would definitely get on board with if I were to get a Scorpio, because why not? That's a bunch of games for a really reasonable price. So they just need to bring it. They need to bring some kind of exclusive game to say this is why you need a Scorpio. Not just the power, but we've got the games that are going to really showcase that power, and you're only going to be able to get that on a Scorpio. So that's who I think needs to bring it. But what I'm really excited for, of course, is going to be PlayStation. I'm looking for some kind of PSN revamp. I think they need to do something there big time. So that's what I'm excited to see. I just like seeing what Nintendo does. I may get a Switch, I may not, but I'm always excited for Nintendo. Whatever they do, as long as they're doing something and it's not garbage, I'm excited.
I'm with you. I think I agree with everything you just listed there. So Microsoft, this is the E3 for them. They need to bring it, and I think they're set up to bring it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot we don't know, and they're going to drop a lot of bombs on us, so it's going to be exciting to see. Like I said, I don't have an Xbox. During Xbox Week a few weeks ago, I put it out there on Front Streets on the internet what would get me to purchase it. This is their chance. I put out there the roadmap to get people like me who have not jumped on that bandwagon to get them to purchase. And I know Seth said the same thing, and even the guys on the Xbox team said, being a PS4 owner, we completely understand where you're coming from, and we agree. So I think that's promising to see. I think we'll see a lot of exciting stuff from Nintendo. I hope we do, because they haven't really laid out much other than saying, like, here's what we got coming out, but we haven't seen a lot of that stuff.
Right.
And, I mean, what gets people more hyped than Mario, and we know that's going to be shown. So that's going to be cool. And then Sony, I mean, they've had stellar E3 conferences the last 2 years. Like to see that tradition continue, obviously being a Sony fan as well. I hope we get some concrete dates and some stuff that we've heard about for a while, and then continue the surprises. I know it's going to be tough because, I mean, they've pulled a lot of surprise cards on us already, so I'm not sure really how much more they can surprise us, but I'm okay with them bringing it down a little bit as long as we get some hard dates to go some stuff we do know is coming, and then drop a few more surprises, sprinkle them in.
Yeah.
So
I think as long as Sony has some dates for the games that we're expecting,
Yeah.
I think they really can't lose. Honestly, they've done so well this console generation that it's hard to keep topping themselves. So I think
totally.
that at some point the bottom's got to fall out. But as long as we get some dates for these games and they're not 2019, I think they'll be in a good place.
I agree. So, yeah, to kind of wrap things up on what you guys, the listeners, can, or viewers, if you're watching this, can expect going into next week. So we won't have another episode dropping after this before E3. So the next E3 or the next podcast you hear from us will be the E3 reactions to stuff. We are planning to do reactions to Microsoft, to Sony, to Nintendo, and then again for the third parties, just like we did with the pre-stuff, talk about what was announced, whether we were right or wrong. I know there's some bets made over there in Sony land. So we'll see what happens with that there. We'll see if Xbox does take it, or if some people need to eat some crow and things that they said in predictions podcast. We'll find that out. So make sure you tune into those. They'll be coming fast and furious. So if you subscribe and you only download the newest episode, make sure you check to make sure you didn't miss a previous one, because these will be boom, boom, boom. I mean, Microsoft will be out like Sunday or Monday. Sony will be out Tuesday, Wednesday. Nintendo, same thing. Third parties will probably be the end of that week, but we got a lot of stuff going on. On top of that, during E3, more importantly, though, if you're going to listen later on, we will be live tweeting during conferences, live streaming reactions during the conferences. We will have live chatting in the PSVG page. So if you head over to playsomvideogames.com, if you were with us last year, we had some technical glitches at the first day of E3, but we got it worked out now. So hopefully you all won't crash our site again like you did last year. We had all you people jump on at the same time to chat with us. But we'll be doing all that stuff again this year. So hop in, chat with us while we're doing it. This way, if you follow on Twitter, you won't get blown up with 90 million comments. You don't know where the conversation left off. Just tweet with us. I mean, just chat with us on the PSVG page. Watch it together. We'll have somebody on there for all the conferences. And then another cool thing we're doing to add to this year, each conference will get a special blog post as well with 5 things I loved about whatever conference post. So Coach Mo, myself, Q, Seth, Kyle, and Caroline will be covering all the different press conferences there. So just basically keep it on the webpage. A lot of fun stuff coming on there, and we're excited. This is our Super Bowl, so we're ready to step it up. I'm thankful that this year we have a much bigger staff, because last year was a grind. It was like 5 of us trying to cover all this stuff. So it's a good thing we've grown over the last year, so I'm excited for that. So before we wrap things up, though, Dev, where can people find you?
You can find me at DevATias on Twitter. I am one half of the Unrated Podcast. Go subscribe. And if you want to be my friend on PSN, Dat Ninja Dev 2.
There you go. Part 2. Electric Boogaloo.
That's right.
So a couple plugs. If you want to sync up with me, you can find me on Twitter at PSVG Kevin. PlayStation at Koch1212, COTCH 1212. You can watch me play stuff on there, whether it's ridiculous stuff. Got some new things coming along to the site, probably post E3, but we got some new features and stuff we put out there for you guys to enjoy. Friends of the website podcast. You know, we mentioned Unrated podcast. Make sure you check out Flux the Posed. Battle of the Beer on YouTube is another one. They just hit their subscriber thing, so they can be found now at youtube.com/Battle of the Beer. So check those out from our buddies Jason and Lucas there. Follow the website itself on Twitter at PSVG. Make sure to like us on Facebook and follow along with our news updates, facebook.com/PlaySomeVideoGames. You can also now actually review us on Facebook. So if you're not able to give us an iTunes review, you can go ahead and do it on Facebook there as well. Please give us a review there. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. Reach out to us. You can always email us podcast@playsomevideogames.com. And lastly, youtube.com/playsomevideogames. But hey, if you're watching this right now instead of listening, you're already here. So thanks for being a friend.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, I mean, that's it. Road to E3 ends here. Next stop is E3. So you don't have to go home, boys and girls, but you can't stay here. But you know what you can do is never stop gaming.